Hey Dad, today we have learnt a new lesson which is the fourth chapter of science. I have understood the lesson really easily. Hey Mickey, how did you get that lesson so easily? I have learned that lesson from Concept Candy which teaches me in the best way. Oh really? Yes. Okay then I will also study that lesson through Concept Candy. Thank you Mickey. Bye. Bye.
Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are going to start off with NCRT Science 6th class 4th chapter, which is sorting materials into groups. Okay, so let us start. We have seen that our food and clothes have so much variety in them, not just food and clothes. There is such a vast variety of objects everywhere. We see around us a chair, a bullock cart, a cycle, cooking utensils, books, clothes, toys, water, stones, and many other objects. All these objects have different shapes, colors, and uses. Look around and identify some objects in round shape. Our list can include rubber ball, a football, a glass marble, etc. Our If we include objects that are nearly round, our list could also include shapes like apple, oranges, and earthen pitcher. Right? Now, this lesson is all about categorizing things into different types of groups. Okay. Let us say we wish to make a group of objects that are made of plastics. For examples, what all comes under plastic materials in our home or around us, like buckets, lunch boxes, toys, water containers, pipes, and many other things. All objects around us are made of one or more materials. These materials may be glass, metal, plastic, wood, cotton, paper, mud, or soil. Activity 1. Let us collect as many objects as possible from around us. Each of us could get some everyday objects from home, and we could also collect some objects from the classroom or from outside the school. Now, our collection may consist chalk, pencil, notebook, rubber, duster, a hammer, nail, soap, spoke of wheel, bat, matchbox, salt, potato, and many other things. Right from outside the class, we can find wall, trees, doors, tractors, and road. Separate all objects from these collections that are made from paper or wood. This way, we have divided all objects into two groups. One group has the objects which is made up of paper or wood, while the other is the other materials like the non-paper and wood items. Similarly, we could separate the things that are used for preparing food. Let us be some more systematic. Okay, take this table, not this one, right? Objects and materials they are made of, like plate, it can be made of steel, glass, plastics, or any other materials. A pen can be made of plastic or metal, right? Like this, we have to differentiate all the objects that we have collected. Now, different types of objects that are made from same material is listed in table 4.2, which is wood. The material is wood, and objects made of material is chair, table, plow, bullock cart, and its wheels. Paper, books, notebooks, newspaper, toys, and calendars. With leather, you can write, for example, belt, shoes. Plastics, we can write plates, toys, chairs, buckets, etc. Cotton, we can write socks, clothes, t-shirts, etc. Right? Now, properties of materials. Have you ever wondered why a tumbler is not made of a piece of cloth? Recall our experiments with cloth in chapter 3 and also keep in mind that we generally use a tumbler to keep liquid, right? Therefore, we would not be so silly that we would use a tumbler made up of cloth. Why? Because what cloth has pores in them through which liquid can seep in and fall down. Now, what we need for a tumbler is the items which we need for tumbler or making tumbler is glass, plastics, metals, or other such materials that can hold water. Similarly, it would be not wise to use paper like a material for cooking utensils, as we put it in fire, paper burns away, right? Now, there's properties of materials. The first one is appearance. Materials usually look different from each other. Wood looks very different from iron. Iron appears different from copper or aluminium. At the same time, there are many similarities between iron, copper, and aluminium also. Activity 3. Collect some pieces of different materials, paper, cardboard, etc. etc. Do these all appear shiny? Separate the shiny materials into a group. Now, observe or as the teacher cuts each material into two pieces and look at the freshly cut surface. What do you notice? Does the freshly cut surface have some of these materials appear shiny? Include these objects also in a group of shiny materials. Repeat this in class with as many materials as you can. Okay. A list. Okay. After doing that, make a list of those with a luster and those without luster. Materials that have luster are usually metals. Examples are iron, copper, aluminium, and gold. Some metals often lose their shine and appear dull because of the action of air and moisture on them. Moisture here means atmospheric moisture and water. Okay. Second type is hardness. When we press different materials with our hands, some of them may be hard to compress, while some easily get compressed. The example of this hard to compress thing is iron block. Whereas we can compress the normal sponge, very easily, right? Now, you can easily stretch materials, but some cannot be stretched easily. Materials which can be compressed or scratched easily are called soft, while some other materials which are difficult to compress are called hard, right? For example, cotton and sponge. Cotton and sponge are examples of soft materials, and iron is example of hard material. In appearance, materials can have different properties like luster, hard, smooth, or rough. They are different. Now, the third category is if they are soluble or insoluble. Collect some samples of solid substances such as sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand, and sawdust. Take 5 glasses or 5 tumblers or beakers. Fill each one of them with 2/3 of water, like this. Add small amount or spoonful of sugar to first glass, salt to second, and similarly add these amounts to all the glasses. Okay. Now, stir the contents of each of them with a spoon. Wait for a few minutes. Observe what happens to the substances added to the water. Now let's do it. Salt, it disappears completely in water. Sugar, it also disappears completely in water. Sand, chalk powder, and sawdust do not disappear in water, so they are sand, chalk powder, and sawdust are insoluble, whereas salt and sugar are soluble. Right? So insoluble and soluble. Activity 5. Collect samples of vinegar, lemon juice, mustard oil or coconut oil, kerosene or any other liquid. Take a glass tumbler. Fill it up to half with water. Add a few spoonfuls of one liquid of this and stir it well. Let it stand for 5 minutes. Observe whether the liquid mixes with water. Repeat the same with other liquids. Vinegar mixes well with water. Lemon juice also mixes well with water, whereas mustard oil, coconut oil, and kerosene do not mix well with water. They stay like this, whereas vinegar and lemon juice dissolve in it. Right? So, here vinegar and lemon juice can be called as soluble, whereas mustard oil, coconut oil, and kerosene cannot be called as solubles. Objects may float or sink in water. While doing activity 4, which is this activity, while doing this, you have noticed that the insoluble solids separated from the water. You may have also noticed that some liquids in activity 5, right? Some of these materials that do not mix with water float in surface of the water. Others may sink to the bottom of the tumbler, right? Now, you have all seen the dry leaves fallen on the surface of the pond, a stone that you throw into this pond, few drops of honey that you let it fell into a glass of water. What happens to these? Okay, some objects sink whereas some objects float. Some examples are many wood, feathers, etc. float, but heavy objects like iron, aluminium, and other metals sink down. Next one is transparency. Many items can be like this, or like this, or like this, right? This situation is called opaque. This situation is called translucent. This situation is called transparent. Let me tell you the difference of it. Opaque objects are the objects from which you cannot see anything, like this. Examples are wood, some block, your book, etc. Whereas translucent means we can see through it partially, right? When it's fog and your glass, a plain glass, is filled with fog, this can be an example of translucent. Whereas transparent is our plain glass through which we can see easily. Okay, that's the difference between opaque, translucent, and transparent. Right? Now, activity 6. Take a sheet of paper and look through it. Look through it towards the light bulb. Make a note of your observation. Put 2 to 3 drops of some oil and spread it on the sheet of paper. Look again towards the lighted bulb through the portion of the paper on which the oil has been spread. Do you find the bulb is more clearly visible than before? But can you see through it clearly? No, right? When this situation is there, it is called translucent. And when we cannot see anything, it's called opaque. Whereas when we can see the opposite side clearly, it's called transparent. Now, there is another reason why we find such grouping useful. What we have learnt in lesson, why is it useful? Dividing materials into groups make it convenient to study their properties and also observe any patterns in these properties. We'll also study more in higher classes. Okay? With this, we complete our lesson. So if you have some doubts, please leave them in the comment section. If you have understood the lesson, please like the video and also don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Have a nice day.